Good evening, everybody. I'm here with Travis of Oscar Mike Radio. I am 40 Mike of Hellfish Haven, and it is the eve of Foxborough's Founders Day, and we are W.A.R, we are resilient. Good evening, Dar. Welcome. And just so
Hey,
folks
Mike, how's
know,
it going?
doing good. Folks know it is PTSD Awareness Month, and Travis and I are both action over awareness type fellas. So I'm going to throw a couple of things up on the screen real quick to share with folks. Make us a little smaller so we can make the overlay count better. First and foremost, there is a discharge petition in front of the House of Reps for the Major Richard Starr Act. We are hoping that we will be able to get that signed so that way veterans will get the benefits that they've earned. Again, the discharge petition is in front of the House of Representatives. It needs less than 165 votes at this point to be able to go up for a vote to be able to be talked about, because they hadn't done it in the big vote, so this is the way to get it around on its own vote. And that basically allows veterans to go from, if you have combat-related special compensation and you were medically retired because of what happened to you in a combat zone, then you are able to collect both your retirement and your VA compensation. Because right now, your VA compensation takes away dollar for dollar from your military retirement. So, and combat-related special compensation only gives you a percentage. Like for me, I'm an E7. If I had made it to my full 20 years, I would, make X amount of dollars for my retirement as an E7 with 20 years in. But since I only got 13 and I was medically retired, I get $800 a month. So that's obviously substantially less than, an E7, would make on retirement. So, they want to be able to push that out and push that up to be able to help, 54,000 veterans like myself that were medically retired due to injury that happened in line of duty in a combat zone, and fix this offset. The big problem they've been having is they're saying it's going to cost too much money, but seeing the amount of money that's been spent, lately on other stunts, I can't really understand that, Travis.
Well, no, and this is why there's, little appetite to put American troops on the ground in Iran and other places, because it's like, okay, you're going to put them on the ground and then you can't take care of them. Stevie Wheels, J.J. Millett, other people come to mind where, okay, they served their country and the systems to take care of them failed. And why are we spending all this money on stuff, and then we're trying every way possible to, shortchange the veteran who served? It's becoming a recurring theme, and I think people are wising up.
Yeah, Dar. So to answer your question here, I said I was injured and only get 800 a month. So because of this offset they have, instead of getting my full military pension, I only get 800 of the pension because I get dollar for dollar elsewhere from the VA through their the disability percentage that I get that takes away from the pension that I should have. And as people point out with the Major Richard Starr Act, that's kind of bogus that we're taking away from guys, and at this such a small number, 54,000 people, you think about that and they look at the number and like the amount that we've lost in in equipment in the fight between us and Iran in the last 3 months, would cover the funding of the Major Richard Starr Act, for 10 years. The amount of money that we spent, going to war with Iran would do that. The amount of money that we spend on, the big parade that we had, the president's, UFC fight, the reflection pool, the big, dance hall that he want, ballroom, all those things, if we didn't have those, we could be paying these veterans to be able to, have the two things, their pension and their, compensation for what they, gave in themselves. And then the other things I want to share, shrink us again so we can share the info, is we've got some resources here. Again, I said, PTSD Awareness Month. These are all available on Hellfish Haven social medias. Right here, we have some mental health resources. Make the Connection is a PTSD overview. It has other veterans explaining what they've gone through and how you can make connection with other veterans, healthcare providers, and peers to be able to, talk about what you've gone through and, where to go from here. The VA National Center for PTSD. It's a great resource out there. They've got information about different therapies, different things, whether it's your family member, whether you're the veteran yourself, a caregiver. It has, information for you on how to work with the veteran, how to be the veteran, and how to take care of a veteran. Next is the Veterans Crisis Line. 988 press 1. And then you've got the Cohen Veterans Network. That's just a great organization that has a bunch of organizations and resources affiliated with them. So if you go to the Cohen website, you'll be able to get yourself all around to see even more resources. And then the bottom one is Vets for Warriors. They are like a peer support. Have you heard of them before, Travis?
I'm sorry?
Have you heard of Vets for Warriors before?
No.
So Vets for Warriors, I'm gonna see if I can pull up their link real quick. So Vets for Warriors, they're in was it? How do you say Rutgers? Rutgers?
RUTGRS, GERS.
Yeah. So that's where they're located, Vets for Warriors, and they have sponsored us with swag to give away at different events that we hosted, whether it's flashlights, little medical pouches, magnets, mouse pads. They have all sorts of items that they're able to share with vets to be able to get their information out to them and be able to have something for veterans to hand out when we do our different tables and events like that. And they've got a 24/7 confidential peer support line, which I will post up in the chat. I think I can just do a screen share too here for a second to get folks to understand what this is that we have here. Paste. And then I'm going to do a share screen. Let's go to... All right, so we're going to Vets for Warriors. So this is this right here. We've got all the info on what they've been able to do, the veterans that they've impacted, stories of how to help. And the big thing here, why peer support? Peer support is a relationship unlike any other. Because of their own lived experiences, a peer can offer a level of understanding, acceptance, and assistance that would be nearly impossible to find anywhere else. Peers are equals. Peer relationships are built on mutual trust, compatibility, and respect. Our peers get your military life because they've lived it. And there is never any stigma to be overcome here because we are all on the same team. We're all in the same boat. And, that's one of the biggest things when seeking care. You can feel you don't want to explain something to somebody that doesn't understand the position that you've been in, that doesn't understand the day-to-day life of being in the military, somebody that doesn't understand, the dark humor that we have at times to be able to, to push through it and get through whatever, going on in our lives. And, one of the things here, Can I really speak about anything? Yes, you really can, as long as it's not, you're gonna hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. It'll stay between you and the sport. And then again, you're talking with somebody that's actually been there, that knows the challenges of coming back to, life after the military. If you guys have ways to get involved, we've done the collaboration with them before. Like I said, they've sent us things for the event. They've got a lot of partners and resources down here. I mean, it's great to see like all of this out there. I've come to here before to be able to find information that I need elsewhere. You come to a site like this and they've got everything laid out here, and you can find an organization that you need to get you from starting at Vets for Warriors. And then also, if you go up here to the top, you got the partners, the news information. They're about their CEO. He was at an event and literally gave out his personal phone number and email, saying, "If you ever have a problem, call me personally. Email me personally. We will take care of you. It's not just lip service. We're actually here, to talk to you and to help." So, just a great site. Like I said, all those that are on there on that form that I just shared with you guys. I've gone out and I've verified that these organizations are real and they're gonna help you guys if you need it. And then the other thing that I made so far for this PTSD Awareness Month, PTSD in Action Month, is right here. So these are the apps that are out there from VA. The VA has gone above and beyond lately in creating different apps for different targeted audiences. And at first, everything was targeted for the veteran. When they created the mindfulness app, when they created the PTSD coach, everything was for just the veteran community itself. And recently, you've seen it. Other people are using it. Other organizations are able to take the information shared and use it for them. So just because it says PTSD and it's from the VA doesn't mean that it's solely for veterans. It's also going to be used by family members. It can be used by anyone who is struggling with PTS.
Oh,
Hey Dodo, how are you tonight? See a lot of Travis in the chat. So those are the
hello.
the different resources here. Have you used any of these, Travis?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I lost Travis, so I'm going to take this down real quick so that we can talk about some of these resources. Travis is, doing a favor and playing dual duty right now. He is still, on mission elsewhere, as you can see from his background not being the Oscar Mike radio normal background. So hold on, let's go ahead and add him back to the stage here. Hey, we lost you for a second.
Yeah. I hit up. They don't make these things for my fingers.
No worries. But yeah, we were just talking about the different apps that are available. For me personally, the mindfulness app, I really, really like. I've got that here on my phone. And the way you use it, it's an easy app to be able to understand and to be able to, go into and, and you log the different things, you're able to see, what you've done in the app, what you can do in the app, and, able to try different things. You're able to do, a guided meditation. You're able to do a grounding, technique. You're able to do, mindful breathing, where like what's going on. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is is you got the trainings. So you see here, I don't know if it'll. So see if it catches it or not. No. So it says, congratulations, you completed level 11. You're getting closer to the end, and practicing mindfulness on your own will become more and more important. And it just gives you, the different areas that you're able to do. You can learn about mindfulness, get started, benefits, cultivating for difficult emotions. When mindfulness seems challenging, growing a mindfulness practice, and all the other stuff that's out there. And then if you want to practice now, you can do a seated practice. You choose what you want. Like this one is a 12-minute exercise. It's a see if you can hear it.
Now gently become aware of your body, bringing non-judgmental awareness to sensations both within and outside of your body. Simply noticing that you are experiencing.
And so it's just, a seated, exercise. That way you can listen to the instructions and you can just use the time if you want. If you don't want to do, listening to a person explain it to you, you can just do it, quietly, with eye closed and listen to the person go through the practice. So I think that's a really good resource for folks. Like I said before, you can choose from awareness exercises, body, breath, senses, building compassion, experience your focusing and defocusing network, letting go, loving kindness, meditation, mindful eating, listening, looking, walking, emotional discomfort, progressive muscle relaxation, space visualization. And like I said, it's awesome to have additional tools that are available to download. You got stuff from University of New Mexico, iRest, Mindfulness Coach, the first one, and then like iRest Part 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they do have a lot of stuff that's available out there to continue even once you've downloaded this. Even you got Stanford's mindfulness program, and touching thoughts and emotions. Everything that you can add on to this app. So it's not just the core that the VA shares with you. They have that, and then you can go on beyond it to make this application structured for yourself, and download what you're particularly looking from it.
Well, I mean, it's just in a modern age, we have different tools available to us. I think it's really cool to see that the VA is trying to use these tools to help veterans out. And, if the more it's done, the more it'll be used, the more opportunities we're going to have.
Yep. And it is, it's just so great to see, it available. I know you had one of the gentlemen that was, linking up the different apps and putting them all together about a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And it's really great to see, the way that they've, put the focus on it, and they're getting people that are subject matter experts in these fields. And, obviously, the VA isn't always able to compete with, an outside organization to be able to, to fund the programs like, they're able to, with private organization. They don't have the comparison funding to be able to pay somebody how much money to create an app and to build it. So it's good when you see somebody that, knows they're not going to make that money, but does it for the sacrifice of, a loved one, or the way to give back to the community and the country, or to give back to veterans for what they've done. It's always nice to see somebody, take their skills and put it to, the community use. And that PTSD coach, too, that's another one that's really good. They will actually have it so that way you can get in touch with your contacts if something's actually happening. Like if you're going through a crisis and you need to reach out to somebody, if you answer a couple prompts and things like that, and it'll reach you and say, hey, reach out to a non-clinical contact, reach out to your therapist, reach out to an emergency line. All those things are so important to have out there, and to be able to reach. You don't want to just be stuck. That's the safety plan is one of the most important steps in this all. Is knowing
Right.
what's going to happen, and having your family and friends aware of what's happening, and how you're going to react to certain situations out there, and how you'll move forward because of that. You want to basically you have those trusted connections. You have professional support out there. You have somebody that knows what you've gone through, whether it's a VSO or somebody that's working on the claim with you. You've got emergency contacts, the crisis line and such. You put down things like your warning signs. You put it in the app, and you're able to go through and it creates a routine or habit for you and lets you know how you can track your pattern and your mood, so that way you're able to know when you're dealing with a crisis or not. Is your heart racing? Are you clenching your jaw? Is tightness in your chest? Shallow breath? Are you fatigued? How's your cognitive emotional experience going? Are you feeling angry? Are you trapped, paranoid? Are you isolating yourself? For me, isolation has always been a big thing for my trigger. If I start seeing myself backing away from everybody, not contacting people, I know that I'm starting to go into my PTSD downward spiral. Behavioral, withdrawing from family and friends, missing planned activities, increasing alcohol or substance use, misuse, overall shifting demeanor. Another thing they have on there is the lethal means safety, to make sure if you do have firearms, you have them secured. Anything that puts time in between a thought and action. And then an in the moment de-escalation plan. Execute what a timeout means for you. Stepping away from a conflict or an emotion that's creating an environment that's upsetting you. For 20, 25 minutes, doing some of these exercises that are on there. Run breathing diagnostic. Do 3-step deep breathing, deep breathing. Abdomen, thoracic, and brings down your stress response. And then ground and center. Stand squarely. Feel your feet concentrated on the earth. And you basically go from foot to head, basically checking in and seeing how everything's going. And then your reactions and your reasons for living, you put that in there, so it gives you something to look at for positivity. And then how to maintain the plan is by sharing it with somebody else that's out there, so that way you're able to have all these resources and putting them to use instead of just having it. So Dara said, the clenching of the jaw for sure. It's one of the things that she has as a way that knows what's her emotions are starting to come over. And the biggest thing too is, like I said, you don't just have to be a veteran to use these resources. Well, again, they were created initially for the veteran community and to be out there, but they're not simply a veteran's tool. They're for anybody that's out there to be able to use. And then, the big thing here, with Hellfish Haven, this is our big thing, stop, doing things by yourself. The fight didn't end when you got home. Like, it continues. So we want to be here for you. That's one of the things that we've done here with W.A.R. is, share resources, share, recreational therapies, share, coffee events, share dinners, share motorcycle events, share, running events. Whether it's, you want to get into volunteerism with the Mission Continues, whether you want to go running with Team Red, White, and Blue, there's so many organizations that are out there that will help you, and go out there. Is you've got to step up for yourself and say, I want the change. And then after that, find that organization, find that community, so you can rebuild that camaraderie. Because that's the big thing. It's, get out of your own head. I know Travis, you're a big, advocate for, jumping online, get on the Xbox with a couple of battle buddies that were in the service with you, and just be able to reconnect and, and share a few minutes, virtually battling again.
It's as simple as that. It's as simple as going out and having a cup of coffee with a guy, or meeting up to online. It's the isolation aspect of our community is not good, even though a lot of us believe that being by ourselves is a sign of strength. It's counterproductive. And so find that crew that you hang with, and and take them in and embrace them.
I'm not a veteran, but I had to see a trauma specialist. And the clenching of the jaw, being able to recognize how to release that so I can sleep has been a major breakthrough for her. And it is, once you know your triggers and you can respond to them better, knowing what they are, seeing what they are, sometimes guys will get, angry at the snap of a twig will snap, and they'll get angry at something, you're all of a sudden you're happy playing with your kid, and then something happens, and now you're screaming, maybe not at your child, but just at the world, and you're so angry all of a sudden, and like, why am I so angry when I'm with this beautiful creature? And like, it's just when you know those things that are triggering you, you can help to get yourself healed and get out there and be able to do something for it and do something for yourself, and you find that sense of relief when you can do that. And again, for Hellfish Haven, we're built on the peer support and and recreational therapies, gaming, board games, card games, video games. We're trying to do events for all of them. If you want to do get-togethers, whether it's a dinner, a lot of these posts, the organizations, the legions and VFWs and stuff used to have spaghetti dinners and things like that they would host, and and guys would come out for a meal, and just didn't have to cook for them and their spouse for the night, and be able to hang out with some of the other veterans in the community. Those things are successful because it takes away something that they don't want to do, in making dinner and cooking and cleaning dishes, and it gives them the time to be able to hang out with other people in the community, and that time sharing and chatting with other people. Like when I go to Coffee and Camaraderie, and me and my wife are sitting with a gentleman that's 103 years old and his daughter, we couldn't be from two more different worlds. The gentleman was in World War II. I'm an Iraq vet, and covered in tattoos, and he's been through where a time when cars weren't running like they are. People were still dealing with so many different things. Like he's seen the world change astronomically in his life, and I've had all those things there for me as soon as I was born. So it's like, and to be able to hear what he's gone through and what he's endured, gives me a chance to be more humble at what I have. I mean, it's just like I said, that is it's one of the best things about that, And I know tonight, you remember our friend Valhalla?
That's your friend?
Yeah, so Valhalla Waits, he was on here a few times with us.
Oh yeah.
So they're doing a live show tonight at 9:30. They've got a Danish veteran too. This gentleman goes by the moniker Broken Baker. He's gonna be down there with them. They're all down in Tennessee right now, hanging out. And Baker had a little award thing that he had, a certificate of achievement that was presented to him from the U.S. Army, and people gave him crap for it, and like they're like, you weren't actually there and stuff, because he was in Bosnia. He did I think it's the SEC4 mission or SEFR mission, where people went to Bosnia and Kosovo, and it was like a joint NATO-U.S. mission. We even had guys going there in like the early 2000s until Afghanistan kicked off. I even think guys are still doing deployment rotations over there. I don't even know if that's completely stopped being a war-torn country. And so he had a certificate of achievement presented to him from the U.S. forces because he went out there and during a wildfire in Bosnia secured a bunch of signal equipment, making sure that it didn't get damaged, and brought it back down to the signal company because it was up at like a observation post.
Right.
And so he went out there and continued to go returning in and out from a fire that was going on, getting the equipment and bringing it back down. So they gave him the certificate of achievement for that, and we made sure that we got him something a little better from that same command. I was able to reach out to that command group here in the U.S. It's a unit that's no longer around, the 49th. What is it? The tankers, like you've got like 1st Armored Division, like 2nd Armored Division, 3rd Armored Division are the ones that you hear most of the time. But there's also the 49th Armored Division, part of the Texas National Guard, and the 3rd. It's like a striker brigade with like the 3 and like the horns on their patch. So this organization that was in charge of him while he was out there was able to get me an item that should be presented to him this evening. I sent it out to Valhalla to be able to give to Baker from this command. That's a little more special. It's a tangible item that you and I go by. That's we we see them in our line, whether it's, civilians are using them or it's military leaders, and for us, it's something that's important. Like this is one of mine that's very important to me. So this one is from General Casey, Multinational Force Iraq.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. And the one that Baker has is now, or will have, is going to be from the Fulbright colonel that was in charge of the entire mission out there in Bosnia. That we were able to secure that for him to be able to present that to him, hopefully tonight on the broadcast. So, but I just want to, thank you, Travis, for being flexible and and coming over to tonight for a change, doing a Friday night live instead of a Thursday. And we'll be back with you guys next week. How did the show go last night?
Went pretty well. Yeah, good show, and good stuff coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So go check out Oscar Mike Radio, OscarMikeRadio.com, and on every platform that's out there. It's always good to watch your replay, even if you can't catch it live. Check it out on a replay, get the likes up, get the views up, and share it with folks so we can get more subscriptions for Travis. So.
Good seeing you, Mike. Glad you're feeling better, and appreciate you, dude.
And as an outro tonight, I'm going to try this to see if it works. It's just going to be a quick breathing exercise. 1 second, we got a person that wants to say hello first. I'll be right back. This is her favorite part of the week. Just to say hi to Travis.
Hi, Sergeant.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good.
Good to see you.
And there's Travis. And just say hi to the chat as well.
Mhm.
And say tomorrow we're going to go to a parade in Foxborough. It's Foxborough Founders Day.
Yeah.
Nice.
We go to a play tomorrow with them. Maybe Jumpy and Nanny. Maybe we going to do a play with them. I kind of got Jumpy. Nanny going to come with us, or does Jumpy come with us, or does Nanny come with us?
Yeah, we'll figure it out in the morning. But say Travis, have a good night. Say chat, have a good night. Say like and subscribe.
Night.
And say hit the like button. All right, have a good night, guys.
Hit the like button.
Thanks again.
All right.
It's gonna be an outro of a breathing exercise.
Hit the like button.
It'll be a breathing exercise for you guys. Let me know how this works out. If you want me to keep it as an outro or not. All right, have a good night, guys.